It's crazy, right?
I got running behind me right now.
And that's the big thing in the industry right now because, voices are being replaced as far as imaging voices are being replaced by AI. Some companies have
Did you see what I put up?
Their people. I didn't see it.
I put it up as soon as, because Saga announced that they're using imaging voices that are AI generated.
Yeah.
And I put it up and I said, On Air Jocks, you're next.
Yeah.
It's coming.
This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals.
Go figure.
Mostly.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Matt Wilson, as always, for the big voiceover intro. Worked with that guy in the radio business since we started in 1997, 98, I want to say. And still friends. That's the kind of business that is. And I got to say that we have a show, a title sponsor, with Christian Brothers Automotive of Spring Hill. Happy to bring those guys aboard. Jason Miller is the proprietor there. And I don't know if do you come down here much often, Mr. Ron?
I do. I do make it down here.
Yeah. It's kind of nice. You're up in Franklin though, right?
Yeah, just a few miles up the road.
I saw you driving that pretty Corvette.
Yeah.
You're still a Corvette guy.
Still a Corvette guy. I've had 3 in a row, so yeah.
Yeah, the Corvettes are great for Christian Brothers Automotive.
Oh, perfect.
They can work on them.
Oh, very good. Good to know. Pulling up the driveway, I may need a little work.
I noticed it's a little low. Running a little flat.
It's a little low.
Yes, the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast is now powered by Christian Brothers Automotive of Spring Hill. If you're here in town, go by, say hello to Jason, and his snack game is spot on.
Very good.
So you got to love that. Yeah. And today we have Mr. Ron Allen with Midwest Communications, also known as Jack FM, also known as Y'all 106.7.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I've forgotten people's names on here. It's called getting older. You know what I mean?
I do it all the time.
Yeah. And I'm forgetting cameras here too. Just getting into this whole thing. So, you know what's weird, man, is that you and you're one of the few people that have been on that have once been in charge of me.
Oh, that's odd, right? Yeah, a little different.
You're in a special fraternity.
Very cool. Well, I'll honor that.
When did you start there?
I started in 2012, actually. Yeah. So early part of 2012.
Yeah. So, right as I was like getting to the point where I'm like, okay, it's out of my system at this point.
People get there, you just need a break sometimes. If you've done it a long time, you'd done it forever, right? You'd been in radio forever.
17, 18 years at that point, I want to say.
Yeah.
I started around 96, 97. So yeah, I guess 17 years.
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah.
I'm at 40 or 41.
That's a long time, man.
Which means I don't know how to do anything else. I'm not good at anything else. So I'm kind of just stuck doing it. Yeah.
Come on. You were the first person in radio that I knew had like investments in real estate.
Oh, yeah. Well, there is that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how to do a few things. Come on. So, I mean,
the car doesn't pay for itself.
But you're originally from you're an Okie.
I'm an Okie. I was born in Oklahoma and started life there and then almost immediately left. My family went to Jackson, Wyoming, and that's really where I grew up.
Right. Because I see I keep up with you on Facebook. You're doing like the family reunions and visiting and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of fun to watch, man. Well, thanks.
I mean, we're leading a good life. It's fun. The family's super. It's just so cool.
So you and we started working together 2012. Was I decent? Was I okay?
No, you were terrible. No, you're very, very good at what you did. Very, very creative. And obviously that continues, but very sad to see you leave. We didn't get to work together, very long. And I would have loved to have had that continue.
It would have been fun,
Yeah.
But I never thought that my skill set would be in vogue again. Doing what we're doing now. I never in a million years.
Everything comes back around, right?
I went into the car business for a couple of years, and it was a really eye-opening experience, a lot to learn. It was a lot of fun once you kind of got your bearings and you had a steady ground to stand on and knew what you were doing. It was a fun business. It was the companies I worked for were similar to other radio companies I didn't really care for, but it was very interesting to kind of see those similarities. They really are very similar. Those businesses.
Well, business is business. At the bottom line, you're trying to make a buck.
Yeah, but like the salespeople are like the talent in a way.
Yeah, I get it. Shaking hands and kissing babies.
Yeah. Putting on a show.
Yeah.
Even though I hadn't really been on air. I haven't been on air in, I think it was Connecticut was the last time. No, it was in Vegas. We did a couple of different shows. But so you were out there mostly. It was a Hank FM, right?
Hank FM kind of morphed into, for Midwest Communications, Duke FM. Mm-hmm. They were kind of named after the founder of the company.
So you worked for Midwest prior to...
No. All this kind of came, we were all at South Central for a while.
Right.
And then Midwest came in and bought them 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
It was after I left.
It was after you left.
Yeah.
So, but the Hanks were sort of out there. Midwest started talking about doing a classic country brand of their own.
Right.
And all of a sudden it was named after the founder, and we were kind of doing an offshoot. And I kind of got pulled into that room and kind of said, hey, give us some input. What do you think? And that took off. I played a role in that. We had 7 Duke FMs for a while. I think there's 5 left.
And that was a spin on the Jack kind of style.
It was a Jack kind of style. One of the guys that is involved with Adult Hits, which Jack is, with the Bob brand, was kind of involved in the Duke brand. So they kind of tied that together, and it was a similar approach. It's jockless for the most part, like Jack, and it's just very creatively written. The imaging's supposed to be funny and engaging and tell a story, and you're just supposed to play hits. Yeah,
that was the most rigorous part of that job, was coming up with 2 pages a week.
It's tough. Right?
I would raid Twitter just to get ideas.
Facebook, still do it.
Facebook. You probably look to Reddit now, and because you look at content creators, which are basically, and there's not really a difference between an on-air personality and a creator, an influencer, if you will. Right. Some of these people are really creative.
We run into a lot of them, and it's very cool to see this younger generation kind of wrap around their arms around it. Of course, a lot of them are making a lot of money doing it too.
Their audiences are massive. Yeah.
But you're right. It's hard to be creative when you're sort of in a box. And when you're writing for a brand like Jack or Y'all or any radio brand, really, maybe more specifically when it doesn't have live air talent, you can only say the same thing so many different ways. And after you've written the best ways to say 96.3 Jack FM 100 times, you really have to start to back up and say, okay, how do I keep this fresh? And it's hard. You're right. 2 pages doesn't sound like much until you do it every week for 10 years.
It's the most humbling experience.
Yes.
Because do you guys still get together in the same room?
We do. We get together. There's 4 or 5 of us that get together, and we write we tried to keep the brand separate. I tried to keep the brand separate. We were going to write for Jack first, and then we were going to spend about an hour writing for Y'all. And it really just didn't work that way. It's the same mindset. So we would be halfway through a liner and we'd go, no, this is going to be better on Y'all. No, this is going to be better on Jack. So we just threw it all together, and we just get in a room and write.
More efficient that way.
And a lot more fun.
Yeah. Because it's interesting. When we first, I came on board at South Central, which is, for those of you listening, was the company who owned the group of stations before another company came in and bought them out in 2014, 2015 or so, called Midwest. But they had it was an oldies station, and it was 96.3, oldies 96.3, I guess. Yeah. And I had met with Dennis, who hired me. Prior to hiring me, we had a phone call, and he's like, what do you think about the Jack brand? And I was like, and at the time it was, I'll say early 05, late 04. All of us radio people were not digging the Jack brand because it was jockless. The transition in Dallas that they made, going from a different format to the Jack FM from an imaging standpoint, was pretty cool, because they literally, like, the voice of Jack, like, you hear the door opening and he comes walking. He's like, all right, man, I guess I'm going to take over from here. And it was a really kind of cool transition production wise. But other than that, none of us were on board. Yeah. Because, it was, this has changed.
And jobs are being eliminated.
Sure.
And that's always the fear when you're in radio. There's some guy in a suit standing outside and you're like, oh, is he here? But I was a fan early of the Jack brand, because when it launched in Denver, which was one of the first ones in the United States, I was in Kansas and I was listening just every minute I could find a free moment. I had went to our company, which was Journal at that time, and said, we've got a couple sticks in the building that are underperforming, aren't doing well. We should really think about this adult hits thing. And they went, no, it's terrible. We're not going to do it. And then didn't. About 4 or 5 years later, I launched a Bob in that market and beat them. So now I'm kind of glad they didn't take my advice or take me seriously the first time around. But
that was Topeka?
That was Wichita.
Wichita, that's right.
Wichita.
Right.
So, and that Bob was really successful for a number of years. And that's where I came from when I came to Nashville. I was doing a Wolf, which was a young country station, and a Bob, an adult hit station. So kind of what I'm doing now.
Hi, I'm Jason Miller. I'm the owner of Christian Brothers Automotive here in Spring Hill, Tennessee. We fix cars here, both European and domestic, from simple oil changes to complete engine rebuilds and replacements. Most important thing, though, is while you're waiting, we've got the best snack game in town, and we invite you to make yourself at home and get to know us, and we treat you like family. We're located right across the street from Walmart on Highway 31 right here in Spring Hill. Let us know that you heard about us on this ad, and we'll give you 10% off your next oil change. So stop on in and see us in downtown Spring Hill. Do we even have a downtown in Spring Hill?
You had an affinity for country when you came in. I knew that.
I was doing country most of my career. I mean, adult hits was sort of new to all of us. It wasn't really around before 2004, 2005. I was learning that brand and, you know, what that meant and how to approach that. But I was always sort of a country guy when it came to radio.
Right. So I was more of a rock guy.
Yeah.
Actually, I was more of a talk guy because I really liked talk radio when I did it in Vegas.
Yeah.
But as we kind of
talk is hard.
Oh yeah,
that's work.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's just conversational. You know, as you can tell, I do my research. But there's, I go into, I got hired, and then a week into my 2-week notice from Vegas, they flipped the station. And I called Dennis and I said, he's like, hey, did you see the news? I go, yeah, I just want to let you know I'm totally on board.
Yes.
Because
I love it.
Yeah. It was one of those things where I was like, dude, it's going to be a jukebox. But we get there, and Randy Hill was the PD at the time. And all of us, and they brought Moose on, I want to say about a month after me. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things where it was like, how are we writing for this? None of us, we were all just trying to throw anything against the wall. And that was the fun part.
Yeah.
Let's break some eggs. Let's
see what happens.
All the rules of radio went out the window. Yeah. Let's have silence. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we used to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Spin the wheel of fortune for the next song. And, it would go like 35 seconds in, people would think, and all of a sudden you hear, and go into a different song.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of funny because when adult hits first launched, when the Jacks and the Bobs first hit, that was breaking all the rules. There were so many things that were, not to do that was being done.
Let's do it.
Even the jockless thing and the way everything was scheduled and the imaging of the writing and everything was so different. Today, that's really not breaking the rules. Radio's kind of caught up to where Jack was 20 years ago. It's crazy because people will say to me, Jack's not really here, or Jack's not live, or Jack's not local. And I'll come back and go, no, trust me, brother, we're as live and local as any other radio station in town. All the writing's being done in my office. All the music selections are being done in my office. Moose is on the streets, weekly, daily, shaking hands and kissing people. Maybe he should kiss hands and shake people, babies. Something, I don't know, one of those things. And so everything we're doing is local, where some of the other radio stations that have live personalities are voice tracked from other markets. Yeah. They've never been to Nashville. The music's a national playlist. The imaging's come up national service. Mm-hmm. They've got big air staffs, supposedly, but they're not on the streets. You don't see them outside because they're voice tracking 18 different markets, or they're not here. Right. So, the radio world has changed so much in the last 20 years. You didn't have that. People weren't voice tracking a bunch of different markets. They were actually setting in their studio and doing their show. Mm-hmm. So radio has kind of evolved, and I'm not saying in a positive way, by the way, to where Jack started. It was cool for Jack as a novelty and to be different. Now that the industry has kind of caught up with it, I'm not sure it was a good thing.
Well, I mean, I imagine that, radio's not going anywhere.
No, it's not going anywhere.
It's been commoditized, but what can once the big companies have kind of ravaged them, and then what do you do? Because, I'm actually starting a new podcast with Johnny Bozeman, Johnny B, who used to be the producer for Phil Valentine. Right. And he was let go from Cumulus. He was on the show, on my show, probably about a couple months ago. Yeah. So I basically, while he was on the show, I planted the seeds and just do your own podcast, man. And I said, you've already got the equity, you've got the market equity, you've got people who will probably support you financially in terms of sponsorship and everything. And I said, And it's probably for a fraction of what they were paying. I said, it's not going to be that much to kind of cover your costs with what we're doing here. And every time he posts about it, there's probably 60, 70 comments. People are just, they can't wait for it. We're actually launching it next Wednesday. It's
so cool. And I'm a fan, so I'll have to check it out. So it's radio's different. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's death knell has been sung so many times, for the last 100 years. It's got to
reinvent.
It's different in the sense that the competitive advantage is it's easy. It's there. It's free. Everybody knows what it is. It's just always been a part of your life. Right. So that's the advantage. The disadvantage now is, honestly, I think the ownership for most of these big companies have tried to save themselves to prosperity. And the less staff you have, the less local involvement you have, the less special you become. You're still free. You're still accessible. You're still out there. You're still relevant. But you're not doing the things that you did 20 years ago or 30 years ago in the community. You're not as entrenched with the listeners as you were. You're not as creative as you were to a great extent.
Having to nurture the next round of talent coming up.
No, not at all. And that's scary because you used to have weekends and nights and overnights, and you could get on the air and you could be yourself and you could try to see what worked and what didn't work and you could get better. Mm-hmm. There is no overnight show.
Because I mean, all the kids want to be YouTubers now.
And they want to, absolutely. Yeah. If you go to a college and say the name, the word radio, the interest is just gone.
Well, broadcast is like, I think I ran into somebody who said, I'm going to major in broadcast. I said, think again. Don't, bad idea. You literally don't need to do that. A. B, you can just knock on a radio station's door. They'll probably take you. Yeah. And, start training from the ground up. Get a business
degree, get something you can always fall back on, and then come to a radio station and be enthusiastic and you'll get hired.
Right. Yeah. Right. But I mean, do you think kind of like a shift? You had mentioned before we went on talking about working with the sales department, and you get that. You look, hey, if you guys need me, you want me to come out and help sell the station, let's go do it, man. Yeah. But even the sales, they're not taking you up on it, you said, right?
No, that seems like such a softball for the salespeople. You got the guy who's passionate about the brand, who knows about the brand, who knows about the audience and the listenership and the ratings, and has all that data and information and can share that passionately with a supposed advertiser or possible advertiser. They're in their own little worlds too. They're on their emails and they're not cold calling. They're not out there beating the bush for the dollars. And it's tough. I get it. I mean, I've never really been a salesperson. I don't think I'd be a very good one. Yeah. I'm passionate about what I do and I can express that. I don't want to close the deal, but I think I could be really helpful out there.
Go close it, man. That's the kind of thing.
I don't want to take anybody's money. I'm terrible.
No, not even closing it. Just to be like, dude, Anna Marie Ritter was on a year ago and we went over this I said, if I had the opportunity and somebody wanted me to come back into the industry, I said, my approach would be like, listen, forget about Arbitron and whatever, what's it called now?
Nielsen,
that's right. Arbitron. Gosh, dating myself.
That's all good.
But it's all personal, portable people meter. Which is funny because you're still saying 96.3. No one's writing that down. Nope. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, I said, my approach would be, look, in the shift that you're giving me, whether it's mornings or whatever, I want the top. I will just, from a sales approach, I would posture with, look, the most revenue generating spot set will be my pay for the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Now I've got skin in the game. Yeah. After I'm done, let's do the production, whatever I got to do. I can't produce, but I'll voice whatever. Who do we got to go see? Yeah. And now that I know a thing or two about sales and selling and business acumen, let's go out and close some deals, man. Asking the questions, what's the one thing holding you back from moving forward with this? What do we need to do? And just kind of getting more and more interest that way. Because now everything I do is incumbent upon, that's how I get paid. Yeah. There's no bonuses with ratings and stuff like that. Just throw it out the window. Yeah. I mean, what do you think of that from a boss perspective?
No, I love the idea. I wish our salespeople were more engaged like that. We get caught up in ratings, we get caught up in, annuals, we get caught up in spot rates and all this kind of stuff. And, to me, I like to back off of all of that and just say, are we getting results for the advertiser? Because if we do, then they're going to come back and buy and it's going to be easy. It's going to be simple. And that's just about people loving the brand. And I will say with Jack and Y'all, I didn't necessarily expect this with Y'all as early as it's 2 years old, but we when I go out in public, people will generally I expect it with Jack. You know, you've been there with Jack. People love the brand. They come in and say how excited they are and how much they love listening and how much, you know, they love Moose or the music or whatever. But we're getting that with y'all almost to the same level. And I just didn't expect that.
Right.
Nielsen ratings will tell you that everything has kind of collapsed on itself. And even the market leaders like Jack and Mix are not that far off from, you know, whoever's 25th in the market. It's a little more compressed. But when you look at Cume, kind of, you know, looking behind the mirror here, but, you know, Jack or Mix will have 400,000 people. A station like y'all may only have 100, but they're very passionate. You know, they only have 100,000 people. But if that's great for that advertiser and they make money off that, if 100,000 people came into your business, that's going to be pretty successful for you.
You wouldn't be able to handle it.
No, if you're a hardware store, we're going to do 100,000 people. So, you know, you think about it and you go, well, the audience is smaller for y'all, but it fills Nissan Stadium.
Yeah. Are you still like, is there still like a local creative in terms of writing ads for the clientele and stuff? Or what's the proportion between agency and local these days?
Jack and Mix have a lot of agency and national business. They pretty much always have. Yeah. I think that number is still, you know, really high, but there's a lot of local commitment to both of those brands. And for y'all, it is considerably higher. It's probably 60 or 70% of what's on that radio station is local advertisers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So they're going out pounding the pavement, trying to get, you know,
I think what they're doing is a lot of the people that have been buying Jack and Mix, they've tried to get them to try y'all, and they've tried it and been successful. And then, you know, it's a numbers game. Jack and Mix are expensive. You can only afford to buy a limited amount of Jack and Mix. And there are small businesses that just flat out cannot afford Jack or Mix. So, you know, if they want to throw some money at radio and see if it works for them, they're going to have to step back a little bit and find maybe a top 10 brand, but not number one or number two, and own that radio station. You know, you're better to put your dollars focused in one area. And that's what a lot of people are doing with y'all. Yeah. You know, they're spending their dollars there and they're being able to get a bigger buy. They get more commercials and that 100,000 hears it more often.
Well, it's the frequency, it's the platform,
absolutely.
And it's what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, what is there? Is it transactional? Is it relational? Obviously with relational, you got to spend a lot more money, probably on bigger platforms, and have the frequency come up. But if you can have a transactional message where it swings the hammer a little bit more, where you have an offer or something like that. I was even thinking for you guys to just, you know, you guys can advertise on our radio stations for as low as per spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that even being talked about? Are you running ads like that?
We're definitely not running ads like that. Yeah. But it's funny when I go out and talk to the salespeople, when I go upstairs and, you know, make my pitch, I do a little comparison shopping. You know, it's, if you buy my competitors, this is what you're going to be paying. If you buy my radio stations, this is what you're going to be paying, and compare the differences, whether that's Cume or share or ratings or whatever it is. You know, we usually do pretty well, you know, and that's why Jack and Mix drive the market. They drive great in the market. Y'all, not so much. It's kind of, you know,
it's new.
It's new, you know, but
niche format.
When we launched that radio station, everybody thought we were, I don't want to say stupid. Yeah, I'll say stupid. You know, a little challenged.
But you saw a hole in the market.
I saw the hole, and the people around me saw the hole. But you know, when you say I'm going to do country in Nashville, everybody goes, "Isn't there somebody already doing that? Like 3, 4, 5 guys and doing it pretty well?"
Right.
And the answer is yes. There were 3 guys doing it pretty well. But they weren't doing this lane. They weren't doing this 90s focused George Strait, Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson lane and living there. Everybody was playing currents. Even, you know, the AM was playing currents, still do. So, you know, you had 2 stations that were very young going head to head and hurting each other. You had, you know, another station that was basically a recurrent radio station. And then you had the AM. And we just felt like there was this huge lane that we could drive through. I went on record very early saying we can be successful and not win, not beat anybody. We don't have to do that. We just have to be competitive and provide a service and make sure that our customer base is, you know, hitting their goals. that went out the window almost immediately. We started beating people right out of the box.
Weeding them out?
Well, not just, it's kind of funny. I thought there was one radio station that didn't have great ratings, from the countryside. And I thought we're going to beat them first. And we didn't. We beat one of the other ones first and then beat them. And, and we do that pretty consistently now. And now there have been changes over the last 6 months made in the country market in Nashville that I think we encouraged them to make those changes.
Right.
So they were ready to jump. We may have pushed a little, but we're extremely successful and very, very competitive from a rating standpoint.
That is having like the staffing aspect of it. Does that kind of, the reason why I ask is that I think that's still a very sellable feature. Mm-hmm. Hey, all the other radio stations are operating. They're at skeleton shifts at this point. Mm-hmm. There are so many people that are wearing so many different hats. They're wearing them thin. We don't do that. Yeah. That's justifying the rate of the spot and stuff like that. And what you get, the reason why that's important and why you're paying X amount of dollars more than what you'd pay there is the people here. Does that make a difference at all, you think?
I think it does. And it's funny. So many people come into our building, whether it's artists or advertisers or just people, just prize winners, whomever. And they see people in mix. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes I'm there at night and somebody comes through and, we're doing a tour or we're doing something and they're like, oh my gosh, there's somebody in a studio and it's after 7:00 is what's going on here.
Yeah.
It's the expectation is it's not that way anymore, which is sad. I mean, mix and everybody knows. Yeah. So mix is very fortunate and, lucky to be able to have an air staff in the room basically 24/7, 365 days.
That's awesome.
It's just so cool, right?
I think it's such an edge.
It is. And it's no one's doing it.
Right.
So I think that as an industry, maybe we should go back and say why, because that wins. You look at Jack and Mix, two very different radio stations with two different approaches. But one of those approaches is to have an air staff, have real people, and do real radio.
Right.
Which, wow, why hasn't anybody thought to go back to that? I mean, Jack and Mix, the number 1 and number 2 radio stations in the market. You would think someone would be paying attention to that.
Yeah.
But they're not.
But I mean, there's a reason for that. They would Barbara Bridges is a world class. She's proven her worth for sure. Yeah. She just won the award recently.
She just got inducted to the Tennessee Hall of Fame for Broadcast Hall of Fame. So super excited for her to get to do that. Very well deserved. She's got a record, I think, somewhere in the nation, like 50 or 55 number ones in a row. She has the longest 25, 54 persons PPM market, win. So absolutely. She knows what she's doing and she's got the staff to accomplish it,
right?
Which, those two go together. And the billing has always been there because if you put a good product on and you're successful for your advertisers, you're going to make money and you're going to be able to have some toys and you're going to get to play with some stuff. And that's the way radio used to work. You were successful, you made money, you had an air staff, you did great things for your clients and everybody won.
Yeah.
And then I think as an industry, we got a little greedy, and we being ownership, probably not my ownership, but ownership.
Yeah.
And everybody said, well, I can do this a little cheaper. If I can save 5 or 10% every year.
Makes a difference. And then all of a sudden you're trying to save yourself to prosperity and that doesn't work. Right.
The product suffers.
Right.
And, we're sitting here doing a podcast. There are different options now that weren't available 15 years ago or 20 years ago or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
There are different places to get your music. There's different places to get your information. There's different places to be entertained. The advertiser has different choices. If you don't invest in your product, someone else is investing in theirs.
Yeah. And, and I completely understand if you guys are cursing people like me behind closed doors.
No, I love the creativity. I really do. And I think that there's enough advertising space out there for everybody to be successful. I get mad at radio as an industry for not telling our own story, for not being positive about who we are, and for losing the identity that I think that we worked really hard to get and to let that slip away.
I mean, it really pisses me off when I hear the stories of just, there are people in radio and there are radio people, right?
True,
and I was always a radio person. I love the business. I got into it at a time where the plane was starting to descend, I guess. It was shortly after the Telecom Act of 96. So, and all the real estate, consumption of radio stations started to happen, and all these consolidation of companies and yada, yada, yada. All these mom and pops got bought up. But it was one of those things that, it was still a fun business, a lot of fun.
And that started the downfall in my mind, because you had all these mom and pop businesses that cared about the business. And companies like, at that point, Clear Channel, iHeart now, but came in and overpaid for all these properties. Yeah. And then they had to cut staff, into the brand to be able to afford what they overpaid for. And it started a slippery slope where, okay, we overpaid. How do we continue to stay solvent?
Yeah.
And you just hurt the product, and then billing went down.
Yeah.
Hurt the product, billing goes down. You hurt the product, billing goes down. I still have that big payment that I overpaid for. And I think that over the last 20 or 25 years, that's what the industry has dealt with.
And now it's like, what's next? I mean, they're going to have to start spinning them off or fire sale them, right?
Well, there's been a lot of conversation with the FCC and Congress about changing the rules again, and I think that ownership does have some limitations by market and by cum and by size. I think some of that is going to go away. I'm not sure it's a good thing. I think it's going to change again. I think a lot of operators are saying now they can't make money, so they're looking to buy more. Okay, that doesn't really compute, but I understand where they're coming from. My fear is that they would approach it the way they did 25 years ago and buy poorly and then get caught in a situation. Odyssey just went through that, or at that point, Intercom.
Yeah.
They bought CBS, which is a huge broadcaster at the time, these amazingly huge radio stations in these big markets, overpaid, and then didn't know what to do with them, because now you've got a bottom line that doesn't balance.
Right.
And again, you start cutting air talent, you start cutting the product. And eventually that led to the CEO of Intercom being out, a name change to Odyssey. Some bad decisions with a good idea.
Funny, man, because Intercom used to be a destination place.
It did.
They
Absolutely.
were a great company.
Yeah.
Cox Radio, are they still around?
They are still around, but barely. They're
Really?
I don't want to say they're hanging on,
Because they were in Atlanta.
They were in Atlanta,
right? Yeah.
And they were part of the Cox media empire.
Yeah.
But they were sort of their own segment. Some stations that I had worked with in the past, they own. They still do. But they've downsized. They split all their divisions up. I hear the whole company's for sale.
Yeah.
Even though there's only, I think, 6 or 7 markets left now.
Yeah. It was funny. I don't know if this was probably years ago. I'd love to get her back on. We had Danielle Breezy on.
Yeah.
And it was a great interview. A lot of fun.
Danielle's great.
Oh, she's amazing. She's so cool.
That's awesome.
And I said, come on, you're working for a TV station, but let's get real. I said, a lot of people are getting their news from Twitter, online and stuff like that. I said, you have the edge. Every time you go live on Facebook, I see the numbers. You're getting 4,000 or 5,000 people watching you at a time. Yeah. That's awesome. I said, I hope you're using that as your bargaining chip and leverage. As she started laughing, and we just kind of got into other things. I said, because news is all about the news tease and scaring the crap out of people to get them to watch. And it's like, they can't do that anymore. It's like, even with radio, what's next up their sleeve? There talks to kind of like, how do you move? How do you evolve this thing?
Well, and it's, to me, it's a double-edged sword, because when radio started to branch out, let's say, we had websites, at first, and then we had Facebook and social media accounts, and then we had podcasts, or we had streaming, and so all these things came along, all very positive, all good things. But everything that happened, I remember when we first got our first website, boy, that's dating me, but that was the shiny new object, and all the resources and all the energy and all the effort went to the website. And everybody forgot we were broadcasters. It was, what's coming out of the speakers matters most still. The web's awesome. This is cool. This is, a part of what we're going to do from now on, but this doesn't take place of what we're doing. This is our lane. Yeah. And every shiny thing has come along and has gotten the attention of media companies, which is, I understand it. I understand the desire to be on that cutting edge, but at the same time, you have to be true to who brung you. You know, Ford still makes pickups and Chevy still makes cars. You know, they may have a really cool entertainment system in them now, but you still make, you know, your base product. And I think sometimes we've gotten away from that. So I would love to see broadcasters focus on being broadcasters. Worry about when companies come in and say every jock has to do, you know, 3 Facebook Lives or has to do 2 podcasts a week or has to, you know, I would much rather them say you have to be on the streets twice a week. You have to go to an advertiser once a week. You have to do more show prep. You know, focus on the things that we do that no one else does.
Right.
And then let's do those other things as well as we can. You know, that's part of who we are. That's part of the, you know, future of the world. But let's not forget what was most important and what really still pays the bills.
And I'll take it one, like, what is the big problem that radio solves? And it's locality.
Yeah.
You know, like that's exactly what you're talking about. Being out in the community, that makes a huge difference.
It does. You know, we do Bikes or Bust for Jack FM every November, and it's the best thing we do in radio all year. It's, you know, we raise 1,000 bikes last year. It's been about 1,000 every year for the last several years. The Marines come, we build these bikes. They go to underprivileged kids. We see the need. We don't see the kids themselves, but we see the people that are kind of the middlemen. We hear the stories. We've got this big megaphone that's a radio station. We can go out and do good work.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like that's our responsibility to the community to do more of that.
Yeah.
It's hard to get, you know, corporate to understand these are the things that we should be doing to be successful, not one more Facebook Live post.
Right. Well, I mean, I get what they're coming from because everybody's on their phone.
I get it.
And it's impressions.
Right? I get it. You know? And I don't want to, I'm not saying we shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
Absolutely not. We should
do
play
the
in
Facebook
that game.
Live post while you're on the street.
Right. Yeah. While you're at Bikes or Bust.
So it's funny. I will say the Bikes or Bust promotion has to evolve. It's going to have to be called e-bikes or bust. Because all these kids are riding freaking e-bikes now.
You may be right very soon.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no, it's crazy.
I don't think I've seen a kid ride a regular bike in probably a year.
Well, and it's crazy too, because, you know, you guys started it the year before I came to the station, and, you know, it's grown. When my first year there, you could go out and buy a 29-inch bike and it's like, you know, $30, $35. You know, that bike now is like $60.
Really?
Yeah. They're outrageous.
It went up?
Way up.
Really?
So yeah. When you look at us, you know, being able to raise, you know, 1,000 bikes or 900 bikes, you look at the number for the actual price tag. It's a lot of a commitment from the listeners, man. They've stepped up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. E-bikes might be a little bit
out of the price range there. Yeah. It's like hundreds of dollars. Yeah.
There might be something there, you know, you gotta
I like
be
it.
creative about it. But I was getting before was like what always kind of recently, you know, even as far out of the industry as I am at this point, I see headlines still. Recently, I saw Cat Thomas got let go. Good friend of mine from Vegas, world-class programmer, very well known in the industry. He's on the beach, and I'm like, what? You know, and it's like, I'm not surprised, but I've been telling everybody whenever I have an opportunity, either on LinkedIn or Facebook, I don't know if anybody listens or whatever. I'm like, just because, you know, another one bites the dust. The industry, just because the industry does not see you as valuable does not mean you are valueless. And that's the same kind of conversation I had with Johnny B is that, look, dude, you still have value.
Yeah.
And it's their problem that they can't see it or work with it or develop it, you know? And it chaps me.
It bothers me that a lot of great talent has just left the industry. When you left the industry, that, you know, that falls into that mindset.
But it's like the mafia. It's like pulled me right back in, you know. I wouldn't have done it. Like I said, when we got the equipment, I wouldn't have been doing podcasts if it hadn't been for like Rode and all these companies coming out with the technology makes it similar to a radio board, which is kind of what you need. Yeah. Everything's on board. You know,
it's very simple.
I literally I was doing my own podcast out of my closet where I do my voiceovers based off of efficiency. And then somebody would say, hey, why don't we do one live? And I'm like, okay, what would I need? I would need a recorder. I have a camera I got to bring. You know, It was just a freaking rat's nest of wires, in this live. And I did it from the Mercedes dealer, Mercedes-Benz in Music City up by the airport. And I was like, I don't want to at all do this. But then I got into it by happenstance doing the production. So as these podcasts started growing, because you remember podcasts kind of had a little bit of a ramp up in like 06, 07, and then they died. Mm-hmm. They just went away. They were kind of like, okay, podcasts. It was almost embarrassing, right? And then they came back with a vengeance, 14, 15, 16. And all of a sudden, these business influencers that I was following, they all had podcasts. Right. So I started reaching out to them. Like, hey, I hear your stuff. Let's make it sound better.
Right.
And this is the kind of messaging I'm telling to people who are former morning show people. Like, guys, you've been to the morning show boot camps. You
know how to do this.
You know how to do these things. This is something you did every day. You're working with podcasters who might put out an episode a week. And I love, we're at 100 episodes. I go, congratulations, you've done 4 months of radio.
Right. No, it's so true. But the technology has gotten so good and so, I don't want to say inexpensive, but the dollars have went way down from what it would have, the kind of commitment you would have had to make 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Everything has gotten so much smaller and easier to maneuver. And it's just, the world has gotten easier in that sense.
Yeah.
Why not do it? Right?
What I have in front of me used to take an entire room.
Right.
Yeah.
And would cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
I'm literally working 4 cameras in front of me, but this is also a DJ-esque skill set.
Right.
I'm not running, faders or anything like that, but I am manually switching cameras.
Yeah.
And then carrying out a conversation that's completely didn't do any prep on because I know you.
Yeah, because we can just have a conversation.
We totally can.
Yeah, so it's easy. One of the things when we talk about the industry, and we touched on it a little bit, but the young people that aren't interested, I'm super excited. We have 3 or 4 people that are in their 20s or 30 range that have come into the building and have just said, I love radio.
Yeah.
There's so few and far between to find, but they're like these little diamonds, when you get them and you can bring them in and you can show them what we know. I know there are guys that have gotten out of the business that know 100 times more than I will ever know. Yeah. They left a long time ago, but I know a few things. And if I can pass it along to these kids, that makes my day so much better.
Well, nurture them.
I'm trying.
Because the ball's in their court right now.
Really? They are the future and there's not very many of them. There's a lot riding on their shoulders.
Yeah. Probably shouldn't say that, but I will say that if you guys are listening, you have a lot more leverage than you realize.
You probably do. Yes, you do. Yeah.
Because, that means you're really passionate. That's we would come across people that just wanted to put their toe in the water.
Yeah.
So, but if somebody at this point is wanting to get into the industry as a career, figure out a way to pay them, guys.
And that's the challenge because, a lot of them don't have a lot of experience. They have a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm, and they work really hard. And honestly, that's hard to find today, because there's a lot of folks out there that it's not really their cup of tea.
I used to laugh, like even getting out of it and seeing what event planners do. I was part of an event last night at eSpaces in Cool Springs. eSpaces is a tremendous company. I'm going to give them a plug. If you're a business or a small business owner or an entrepreneur, you need a workspace. eSpaces has the shared workspace, co-working, if you will. And I think they got like 15, 16 locations throughout the Southeast. They've done a great job scaling that business. But they put on an event last night, grand openings of a sort. And the girl who runs all these things is like the promotions director, if you will, of a radio station. And, she's like, I had to do 3 events that day. And it's like, it all about took everything out of me to do it. And she's only doing that maybe once a quarter. A promotions director is doing that on a weekly basis.
There are times where all 3 brands are out in a single day.
Oh my gosh.
And sometimes they're big events, So a promotions director in our industry is a very, very busy person.
Very busy and probably very underappreciated.
Overworked, underpaid, all of those, but extremely important to what we do. And I believe, an extension of the on-air brand. Absolutely. That's how people find out about you. If they don't know who you are and what you're doing, they see you out on the streets, they see your vehicle, they see you doing some cool event, they see you out at even a remote. It's an opportunity to meet people and, make a connection and say, hey, listen, we're free. Check us out.
Does your garage door sound like this? If it does, it's screaming for help. Call Incredible Doors, 931-348-DOOR. We're making garage doors in Murray and Williamson counties work better and sound better. We just make them incredible again. Go to IncredibleDoors.com or call 931-348-DOOR. Follow us on Facebook for specials on maintenance visits, keypads, and other items. 931-348-DOOR. IncredibleDoors.com.
I'm also like racking my brain in terms of what are people gravitating towards visually, streaming and stuff like that. Obviously, it's a lot. Are reality shows still a thing? I know Love Island was huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are. I mean, it's a different lane than what we tried to do.
How do you do that on radio? You know what I mean?
What's so funny is, contesting is always something that gets brought up when it comes to radio stations, and some stations do a lot of contesting and bring people in and play games and do all kinds of things. Most of the research says people don't care.
Right.
They don't. We give away trips. We give away big trips on Jack, and people do care about that. We just did a sandals trip, and 3,000 people signed up. So I think those big prizes people care about. People don't call in. They don't want to be caller number 9 to win tickets to
right.
something.
It's got to be online now.
Yeah, it's got to be. Everything focuses back online.
I put in a name to win that trip. I didn't win though.
Well, I got to keep trying. We'll have more. Yeah. But I think that
I think somebody saw my name coming. It's like, we'll just put this over here.
What's funny is it's really actually is electronically generated. I don't do it, but promotions director does. But the thing that I think radio does well, and kind of coming around to that, is not those register to win contests, not the caller 9 contest, but the things that you can play along with, even if you don't win, but they're fun and interactive. And there's a couple guys on the air doing mornings here in town that are pretty good at that. They have a large enough staff that they can all kind of play amongst themselves, and you can play along, and you're driving and there's no stress, and nobody makes fun of you if you get the answer wrong, but you can kind of go, oh no, I knew that. And, it's like playing along with Jeopardy. Yeah. If you can do that on a radio station and have the audience engage, I think that's a win.
It's the interactivity.
It is. It's in your own mind. You're playing along. You're part of it without the dialing the phone or embarrassment of, I don't want to hear my voice on the radio. So you still get the fun without the stress.
Right. Well, live and local, I think, is still the biggest element.
Absolutely.
An edge and differentiator that radio has all over digital platforms. Even there was a guy, his name is Ryan Trahan. And he built himself he's a YouTuber. He's got a massive YouTube channel, massive Instagram, massive TikTok. Of course, he's a good looking, kid.
Might help. Yeah.
Yeah. That always helps, so that means I'm dead in the water. But anyway,
me too. Yeah.
He just did where he and his wife, and it's also very innocent content. It's not racy or anything. They're Christian believers and stuff. So he and his wife checked out the most interesting Airbnb in all 50 states.
Oh, very cool.
So they went day after day.
Oh, very cool.
And they had something with them called the Wheel of Doom. And if you donated $50,000 or more, you could set off the Wheel of Doom and present them a challenge. So it was stuff like, well, we got to spin the Wheel of Doom. It could either be a furlough. We don't have to do anything. They might give us some. I think if they donated $100,000 or more, they could let them not have any challenges. But if it was $50,000, they would have to spin the wheel. And it was stuff like, well, you got to stay in your pajamas all day, or you can't use GPS, or you got to split up and find your way to the next one, so they couldn't do it together. All that kind of stuff. So they made a big thing about it. They wanted to raise the money for St. Jude, which is a great cause.
Yep.
And he just said, I just want to raise $1 million. That's all he wanted to do. So he had a bunch of different main sponsors like electric bikes, electric. Every time, just ride the bike every day. We'll donate $5,000 or $10,000. And he's like, all right, I'll go ride the bike. And every time he did it, he put it in the video. And they would just go ahead and do all the stuff. At the end of this thing, $11.3 million.
How cool is that?
I mean, he totally blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
But, the production, I was my wife and my daughter and myself, we kind of made it a thing to watch it every day. Every day they're putting out like 25-minute episodes.
Yeah.
Documentary style.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way he's editing this. No way. No way.
No, he's got to have some help.
My wife is like, well, I don't know. They have a lot of downtime when they're driving. I said, dude, there's no way.
Yeah.
And turns out they had 2 guys that were back at home base editing all the stuff. So he was sending all the footage back. Yeah. But they were constantly editing. Okay. I mean, that's turning it around in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Dude.
Audio,
crazy.
Just doing audio like that.
Yeah.
It's time consuming.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I can't imagine video. Yeah.
I mean, the amount of, when you do stuff like that, that's the kind of stuff it demands, though.
Yeah.
The radio's doing that every day. Yeah. This is what you guys do.
It's true. It is. So what can I say? And we are doing, there's a lot more video elements to what we're doing. I mean, for y'all, we do a show on Sundays called Talking with Taylor, which is always a guest host. There's always an artist comes in. And we'll take that 30-minute interview. It becomes a podcast. It becomes social media, chopped up. It becomes a story on the website. It becomes a Talking with Taylor, edited down. So we're getting that same interview and using it in 4 or 5 different ways to just promote the brand and give people another reason to listen. So, but that's a lot of work because you are editing video at that point. You are editing audio at that point, and you're doing it in so many different ways because you're, cutting it up for something on TikTok and you're cutting it up for something that's going to be on a website, which is going to be the whole interview.
Are they actually manually
pretty much?
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, dude, they got to be using AI.
Well,
I know.
Yeah, I know.
But that's what I do.
I mean, Adobe has software that'll match everything up for you.
Right.
And I mean, you just have to click back and forth between shots. So it gets easier and faster for those guys. But it's still a lot of work. It's still just time consuming going through all that information.
So they're actually getting their shots in post. They're not doing this like what I'm doing. Oh, they got to make that official.
Well, and we are actually. That's
maybe I need to visit.
Yeah, maybe you
consult
need to visit.
with you guys.
I think that we were going to do it today, and I think it's going to be next week. We have new cameras coming in. I think supposed to anyway, and I'm under the understanding it's going to be AI. So,
AI powered cameras. Really?
Yeah. So all that, it'll all go wherever whoever's talking.
Whoever's talking.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
that's something I got to look into at some point. But
yeah.
I don't mind doing this. You know?
But we'll still have to go chop it all up and, using
AI for that, buddy. Opus.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
I got running behind me right now.
And that's the big thing in the industry right now because, voices are being replaced as far as imaging voices are being replaced by AI. Some companies have
Did you see what I put up?
Other people. I didn't see it.
I put it up as soon as because Saga announced that they're using imaging voices that are AI generated.
Yeah.
And I put it up and I said, "On air jocks, you're next."
Yeah.
It's coming.
It's I was actually at a convention with an AI jock, one of the first ones that had really been successful. And she was there talking about how successful this has been for her. Mm-hmm. And in the back of my mind, the whole time I was thinking, wow, that's a lot of people that probably just lost their job. And she was super excited about it, which, okay, I get. Until at some point during her conversation, she said, and I really wanted to live in XYZ city, but they went with the virtual version of me and I didn't get to move. And then I went, wow, listen to what you're saying. Yeah. Not only are all these people being replaced by your AI voice, you're being replaced by your AI voice. You didn't get to move to where you wanted to move. They just took you virtually. So what does the future hold there?
I'm wondering about the legislation of that in terms of likeness and voice. Are they going to be able to license their voice, and get paid for it to be on all? Because then you could take the personality and put them all over the place with the radio stations.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that look like?
And where does it end?
Right.
So,
well, even influencers, there are actually
absolutely
virtual influencers. Like Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it. He says, you watch. Some of these people you follow, you're not going to be able to tell whether they're real or they're AI.
Well, we've talked about it in our writing. A lot of people use AI. They'll write, as we were talking about writing imaging earlier, and then they'll run it all through AI.
Right.
We have not done that. I want it to be real and authentic because that's what we've told the audiences that listen to radio forever is people matter. So I don't want to shortcut that. I do believe we matter. I think the things that we want to talk about in the imaging is not going to be replaced by AI anytime soon. but I don't know that for a fact.
Can you tell when you're getting something generated?
I think I can tell.
Yeah.
There are times that I get something. My wife and I were driving home about 2 or 3 weeks ago, listening to a radio station, and there was a caller, and there was some interaction with the jock and the caller. And when it was done, I looked at my wife and said, "Do you notice anything strange about that?" And she said, "Wow, that was really weird. It didn't sound real." And I said, "Because it wasn't. It was AI generated." And I know it was.
The entire conversation?
Not the jock side wasn't, but he had generated the caller side.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, if you were paying attention, I think you would have caught it. Just an average listener. Someone in the business, oh yeah, that was pretty easy.
What's that? Is that kind of like a Phil Hendry thing? Were you aware of Phil Hendry?
Yeah. A little different.
Yeah. Because I mean, he would come up with some. Yeah. I mean, he did a lot of great voices.
Right.
And he would get the scenarios he came up with are just ridiculous.
I think this was, telling secrets out of school. There are services out there that will give you a script and you can have interaction for callers calling your radio station. And, it's been out there for a long time. This is kind of the next evolution of that. I believe you type in what you wanted to say and it's going to spit it back out. It's not a service just giving the same script to 400 radio stations.
Oh, so he scripted it out and this reacted.
I think he did.
Oh, really?
I think he did. That was what I heard.
Wow.
So,
gosh,
it's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in the songwriting genre, one of the podcasts I produced is Try That in a Small Town. And the hosts are all the songwriters of that song, amongst others. And they're all wondering.
Yeah.
It's like, Neil Thrasher, he says that AI is the best co-writer right now, and it will be.
And everybody says this is as bad as it is. It's only going to get better. It's going to be more seamless. It's going to be harder to detect. What are we all going to do? Now, it's funny. I say that and I go, well, because we're in media and our voices are our voices and whatever. But if I'm an accountant, I'm a little worried right now too, right? Because
my brother's an attorney. He says, I'm not worried. I said, really? He says, because AI has gotten so many things wrong.
True.
In terms of like even judges will pick up, counselor, was this AI generated? And he will bring the hammer down on attorneys who try to attempt that kind of stuff. Judges.
I wrote a press release for someone the other day and a quote for a press release, not the whole thing. And which I thought was a pretty good quote, set it off. 5 minutes later, it comes back and it's completely rewritten. And I looked at it and I went, oh my gosh, he ran that through AI. And that's the quote we used. It was long and wordy and boring, and we should have stuck with my quote.
Yeah. I actually used ChatGPT to come up with thumbnails for podcast episodes of mine. Like, ask, hey, upload a picture of the person you had on, a picture of you. Buddy.
Yeah, I would imagine.
It was like the African American version of me. It's like, it was odd to kind of see. I'm like, I don't look like that at all.
Yeah.
It was very funny almost.
Yeah. I've seen that. I've seen that happen with people. People put in like, hey, I'm going to do this. I need this image. This is me.
Yeah.
And the image come back completely different.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not in the ballpark.
Yep. And even the guests, it's like, you have the picture, for crying out loud. Right. How are you screwing this up?
Right. It's supposed to make me look better, not different.
Right.
Well, I look like, that is different.
I looked like my friend Chad.
Oh, that's funny.
I showed it to my wife, and as soon as she stopped laughing, I said, don't I look like Chad Fry? She goes, oh my gosh, you do.
Oh, wow. That's pretty funny, right?
Yeah. I'm like, my teeth aren't that big. I've got like this big old smile.
But it's here to stay. Yeah. It's not going anywhere, and people are going to use it. And
what does Roy Williams say? He says, technology is a freight train coming down the tracks that doesn't care who's standing on them.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, it's interesting. It's almost an edge to say, like, I've done this in emails, reaching out to people, not AI generated.
Yeah. It's actually a really
good idea. And you actually
get
opens. Yeah.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually real.
Yeah. I actually took the time to write this to you.
We're actually having a human conversation. I think that's going to be edge in the future. I think the AI thing is going to be very fatiguing over time.
The way it comes across now, I mean, I'm like looking for it. And when I hear it somewhere, I'm a little disgusted by it. And I think that people realize, like in an email, that's the perfect example of, wow, you didn't take the time to actually write something to me.
Right.
This is AI, where no, this is, I was important enough for you to take a couple moments and write me a note.
Well, it's just like you've done the LinkedIn thing where somebody makes a new connection and they hit you up.
Yeah.
Does that happen to you?
Oh yeah.
It happened to me just now, where the guy's like, he's like, he said something about, hey man, I see the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, man, you're doing a tremendous job. Hey, how are you doing your logistics? I'm going, what? I almost want to respond to him. Like, did you read what you wrote at all?
No.
Did you do any research?
No.
You just want to call these people out. That's almost what maybe AI is doing in a way, where it's something. I think that, my kids make fun of me for this. I saw like a picture of a really big owl, and I like owls.
Okay.
And I'm like, look at the size of this owl. And my kid's like, Dad, it's AI. I'm like, oh, crying out loud.
Yeah, so my kids do the same thing with you. They look at me and go, don't open that. Don't fall for that. Don't click on that. I'm like, I know.
But that gives me hope, because they are attuned to it.
They are. And they're aware that it's not real.
Right.
And they're not really fans. My kids aren't,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's sort of funny. I have 3 kids. One's a teacher. Mm-hmm. So he's hopefully okay. I guess we're going to need teachers. One of them is a senior in college, but he is going in, his major is cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, well, you should be good.
Yeah.
You'll be working against AI. Okay. So, but my youngest wants to be an animator. And I'm like, okay, well, you picked a career that has 4 people in the entire United States doing it. So, all right, great. Good luck with that. And 3 of those are going to be replaced by AI next week. So, he's going to have a little more challenging road, but he is probably more in tuned to that world than any of my family.
Well, that's the thing, is like, even in the music world, what is going to be not affected in live performances? Mm-hmm. I think people are still going to crave, well, here's the other aspect of that. I would say bands and things like that, depending on what you're into. My son, I took him to a show in Atlanta in February for his favorite artist. And the dude just got up he sold it out. It was just him singing the tracks. Yeah. I guess it's not unlike seeing a rap artist or anything like that, but it was just him. It was like it's like you're seeing somebody sing karaoke at this point.
So I would say the experience is completely different.
But they're okay with that. Until, maybe they get another experience and
find out there's something better.
Yeah.
It's not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So, the pendulum comes back around, I guess.
I guess that's, I would find that so odd. I mean, I'm an old dude, right? So part of the experience of going and hearing the bands and watching the drummer and, getting into it'd be different. Just, you're singing along with a track.
My pal, Rich Redmond, always said, people hear with their eyes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Especially when you go see it live. But, us guys in radio, are you very selective about who you go see these days? Or are you pretty much open to go see concerts of whoever still? Because radio, the exchange for low pay
is you get access
and all the special treatment.
Yeah. No, it's twofold for me. If it's somebody young and coming up that I just have found and am interested in, I'm curious about, I'll take the time.
Yeah.
If it's one of those people that I've loved forever, I take the time. And then there's a lot of work that I do because I have to go. I need to go to this show because we're shooting social media content or whatever. So I still do a lot of it. This is the part that hurts me to say. I don't enjoy it as much.
Right. Well, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Courtney and I, if we want to go to a show, it's somebody we're going to really want to see.
Really want to see.
Yeah.
So,
we want the special. We want, okay, what do the seats look like?
No, yeah. Yeah.
Like the other day,
spoiled.
We had Rich and I still do a podcast called The Rich Redmond Show, and I produce it and co-host. And we saw that Collective Soul and Live were coming to First Bank. And I literally drove past and I saw it on the sign. I'm like, oh, and we know the drummer for Collective Soul. He's a good friend of ours. We reached out to him. Hey, you're going to be here Sunday. We're 3-4 miles away. come on out and be on the show. So we made it happen on a Sunday. Didn't ask for tickets or anything like that, but he just went ahead. He's like, I'm just going to get your tickets and backstage and blah, blah. All right, cool. Yeah. So we kind of had a guys' night and went and saw them. It was still fun.
It's fun. It's fun, but you get caught up, especially in Nashville. Yeah. You get caught up in, I don't want to go downtown. I don't want to pay $60 to park. I don't want to pay $25 for a drink. And, and you get old, you get off my lawn type behavior.
What are you guys doing for fun these days, you and your wife?
Travel. Yeah. I like to travel.
Like on a weekend, what's your Friday night routine?
Oh, mowing the lawn.
Really?
No. I mean, it's, we're about to be empty nesters, so I hope that changes. But we don't do a lot. I mean, we have dogs and kids, still around, and it's work.
Are you what kind of vices do you have? Are you an alcohol guy?
Well, no, I'm not. I don't know. Alcoholic's a big word, but not
alcoholic, but
No, I enjoy a nice brown water.
Yeah.
So I'll sit on my deck and have a Sinatra. If I'm playing golf, I might have a cigar.
Nice.
So
are you a beer guy?
I used to be a beer guy, not so much anymore. It's really, I don't know if it's graduation to the whiskey stuff, but
I've been toying with both because I need more, detrimental things in my life.
Oh, don't we all? Yeah. At this age, you need all the painful things you can do.
So a buddy of mine who I met in the car business, he's now in financial planning, wealth building, that kind of thing. And I've been friends with him since we've worked together, but he does a show called Ales and Tales, and they were doing it like in his study in his house for a couple of episodes. I think it went by the wayside. He wanted to ramp that up. I said, dude, just bring it to my studio. Let's just see. I think there's something here. We have a blast with it.
Oh, and
I've become so damn bougie about beer because he's so articulate. He's so educated, and he's like, well, let's. Looking at it, sniffing it, he's like, what kind of notes do you get on the nose? I'm like, I don't know. It smells like syrup, and he's like, well, I'm getting a little bit of raspberry and blah, blah. Yeah, okay. And literally, he'll start naming things off. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get that too.
I smell that.
Yeah. But, and then we'll take taste. But, oh my gosh, the things I had no idea about.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
You know Moose well. So when I first got to the station 13 and a half years ago, he was not much of a cocktail guy. He was kind of a little fruity umbrella and a little sugar on the rim. Got a nickname Sugar Rims at one point. Not sure where that came from, but it was pretty rough. He is a serious hard liquor connoisseur now.
Really?
His palate has completely changed, and he's a whiskey guy.
I become a whiskey guy.
I'm a whiskey guy, and it's enjoyable.
Here's how freaking deaf to that I was. The same guy, Mike Mercurio. We were at his house. He's got a whole wall of whiskeys, scotches, and the bourbons. And I'm like, well, what's the difference between it's scotch? He's like, it's from Scotland. It's whiskey from Scotland. I'm like, that's it?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm like, I had no idea. I'm as of last week, 50 years old. I'm going, how the hell did I not know all this? Right. I was never into it.
Right.
I said, what about a bourbon? He's like, yeah, it's pretty much scotch from Kentucky.
Right.
Or whiskey from Kentucky.
Yeah, it's Kentucky.
What?
Yeah. Whiskey?
Yeah. Well, is that a single barrel or I don't know. What is the difference? You know what I mean? It's
about $20.
Yeah. But that's how freaking idiotic, how dumb I was to that whole industry.
Though. But it's fun to learn. I mean, it's fun to, and we do, when I say we mow the lawn and take care of the dogs, we do so much stuff for my job. Yeah. There is once or twice a week that I'm going to something.
Yeah.
So for us, a night out is to not have to go see a showcase or not have to go to a show. I enjoy it. We still have a great time doing all of that. Mm-hmm. But just going out to dinner then doesn't happen very often.
Well, you're not breaking new artists on your station, though.
We aren't, even though we have a lot of new artists that come in to y'all.
Right.
Because they grew up listening to George Strait in Alabama, and those are their idols. Right. And they want to come in and talk about them. And I want them to come in and talk about it because they share everything on social media.
Okay. Go back. His name is Ben Gallagher. You ever hear of him?
Okay. The name sounds familiar.
He's good.
Okay. I'll have to check it out.
I think he's going to be big. Neil Thrasher has been working with him, and he's been producing him. So, hopefully it might be a good addition for the Sunday show that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
really vivacious, a great interview. He's just a really cool guy. He's in his 30s, and he's a chicken picker.
Oh, gotta love it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, we love those guys because they come in, they have great social media followings. Yeah. They share everything. And then all of a sudden, y'all has all these followers that are in their 20s, which I didn't expect us to have early on. And we have tons of 18 to 34-year-old females that just all of a sudden they're everywhere.
Is that a thing to even I guess that could be a subsequent, the show then becoming a podcast? Because, the show is a weapon, right? Because you can actually interact live on the show, which then becomes packaged up as a podcast. So, man, I guess it's a new artist showcase. There's probably not much new there. But if you can kind of get into the up-and-coming artists that, you probably got an eye and an ear for this he's going to be big.
Hopefully.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've missed. Oh man, I've missed sometimes, but I've hit a few. And then we have this other thing that's on overnights now called Pickle Jar Up All Night. Was on Cumulus for about 18 months. It's moved over to y'all, and they're going to have independent unsigned artists highlighted almost every hour on the brand.
Right.
So they're going to get 12-week. I'll say deal. There's no deal. Mm-hmm. They're going to choose 3 or 4 artists at a time and say, we're going to give you 3 to 5 spins a week on multiple brands. This is going to be a syndicated show. Mm-hmm. And it'll give you an opportunity to be heard. You'll either make it or you won't.
Yeah.
But, which is kind of, again, one of those things that radio doesn't do anymore.
Yeah.
And I understand why, but overnights is one of those places you can play and experiment a little bit, and you can give people a chance. So I'm glad they're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine that, if you go back and you listen to, Ben was on the Try That show, Try That in a Small Town podcast, and Rich's show. I'll shoot you the episodes. Take a listen if he's something. Yeah. Because Rich and I he performed with him while he was here. But a great interview, really good. He's got good stories. The dude did a prison tour. Like old Johnny Cash.
Yeah, you got to love that.
And he's got stories about that. So it might be something to look into.
No, I'd love to. Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm always looking for new talent. It's so funny. Those mainstream guys sometimes are not the guys I'm interested in hearing. You've seen so many of those guys come and go through your career. You're looking for something unique, something that you find entertaining.
Do you need any voice guys for your station?
Well, you never know. We might. You never know. I might know a guy or two.
I would love to. That'd just be fun work to get back into.
Yeah, it is fun. It's from the writing side, it's so much fun to just still have that creative bone, to be able to go out and just, I text myself all the time because I'll be driving by a sign or driving by a field and you think of something and you text yourself.
You got to have your radar up.
And you go, this would be a great liner. Mm-hmm. So, to take that stuff, and I always say when we write, it was same way when you were there, there's really, there's no pride of authorship. Right. You write, I've written things that I thought was the best piece of imaging that was ever going to be on the radio station ever. Mm-hmm. And you get in that room and you throw it up on the big screen and it gets annihilated by everybody in the room.
It's so humbling.
It's so humbling. And then at the end, you look at it and you go, oh, God, it's so much better now. Oh, that's so much better. Why didn't I write it that way?
It's so true.
So true. But then, to know that that's going to go off to a guy and he's going to voice it and he's going to put his inflection in it and it's going to live. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Well, hopefully the guys are doing I love whenever a client gives me a piece of copy, I give them the copy as it is, but I'm like, hey, I have a couple of pickups. Let me try this differently. Let me add a little flavor. And they love that.
I always love it.
Yeah.
When I get something back from somebody that's voiced it and he's like, or she's like, hey, this hit me. This could go here. I could say this. I did this inflection differently. If you don't want it, don't use it.
Yeah.
But just to have the option and to see that they're engaged and they're in the creative process and they want to make it better, that's gold.
Well, for those radio people and other people listening that want a potential voice guy for their station, let me know. I still do that kind of work, and it's all value-based. It's all about being them-centric and making sure that you sound as good as possible. So try me on.
There you go.
JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com, JMVOS.com. Always plugging.
Oh, that's good.
What's in the future for you, buddy? What's what do you want to be doing in 5 years?
Sitting on a beach with a Mai Tai.
What beach? What's your flavor?
We just got back from There's a lot. There's some good ones. We just got back from Grenada, and I like Grenada. It's a little farther flight, but such a cool little country. Very clean, very nice, very safe. Yeah. I like, St. Lucia. I love St. Lucia. Mm-hmm. Get there every once in a while. We do the short ones, do Jamaica or whatever. Yeah, that's all right.
We've never been
to Jamaica.
We went for Courtney and my our 20th anniversary because it was around COVID. We thought about doing like a Caribbean thing because we had never been. But she didn't want to leave the mainland in case the kids needed something because their parents were flying in. And we wanted to be able to, if we needed to, drive back, and still be connected. So we did the Keys.
Okay.
And we had,
cool.
I hadn't been to the Keys since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I don't think she had ever been to the Keys. We had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine it's similar.
Anywhere where there's an ocean and you can put your feet in the water and have a nice drink and relax a little bit. I don't relax well. I don't relax at home. I'm always like on a computer or listening to a radio or, texting myself. So it's nice to actually get on an island where maybe the Wi-Fi is not great.
Right.
And I have to kind of unplug a little bit.
It is funny you say that because how many people do you know that crave getting away? You know what I mean? Because their regular life they hate it, and because like what we do, I feel the same way. This is something I get to do.
I get to do.
You know what I mean?
It's an honor to do what I do.
Right.
I never underestimate how cool this gig is. This is something that very few people have had the opportunity to do.
Right.
I get to meet all these really cool people. I get to go to all these great places. I get to see all these great venues. I get to hang with really cool and creative people, and I get to have fun. And that's just not a job description too many people have.
And you got to be making like $500,000.
Oh yeah.
Now, right?
Well, I may have made $500,000 in my career. It's 40 years. And what's that figure out a year? Maybe.
It's got to be up there by now.
It's close. $6 an hour is times one.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's $7.25. That's the minimum wage. But but you get concert tickets and pizza.
I know.
So it's
pizza
all
parties. Man, that helps pay the mortgage.
But I don't, retired, that word retirement pops up there every once in a while. And
it's a recently invented term. You do realize that.
No,
right?
it's terrible. No,
retirement is not, you're not supposed to retire.
No, I'm too competitive to retire.
Yeah.
I would be so bored. I mean, I'd like to play a little more golf. I wouldn't mind, maybe getting out of the office a little bit and doing that. But, I like to be engaged. I like to be busy. I like to be, like I said, I don't do resting on the weekends well. Right. My wife will tell you that if I'm not doing something and I've been sitting at home for an hour on a Sunday afternoon, I start to get annoyed.
That's okay.
Because I need to be, doing something.
I'm like that too.
Yeah.
But sometimes Courtney and I will just veg on the couch for a day because you just need it.
I try. But,
We'll, I call it the have to versus your get to years. And I'm kind of straddling both, right? And I still have to do this and do all the things that we're doing. But it's a get to. This is something I get to do. It's my superpower doing, producing podcasts, doing what we're doing, hosting them and stuff like that. But I mean, would you say that you're like completely in your get to years where I get to do this and I don't have to do this anymore?
I think I'm at a point where it is a little bit of I get to do this.
Right.
I mean, if I made the decision to just walk away, my wife's 10 years younger than I am. So
nice.
As long as she kept working. No.
What is she doing now?
She's doing great. She works for Midwest. She sells for Midwest and she's been there about 6 years. She's been a seller for 20, 25 years too. So she's done television and newspaper and radio most of her career. So she enjoys what we do too. And it's a unique marriage in the sense that when I say I've got to go do a remote on Saturday, or I'm frustrated because some imaging came in late, or I've got to go do this event, she pretty much just grabs her purse and says, okay, let's go do it, because she understands the business and pretty much participates fully. But, she's a good seller and she likes working for big brands. So it works out.
Nice. So she's working. You guys are in the same building.
Which is, which is, I don't really think that's the perfect way to conduct our lives.
Right. Well, you could say you're sleeping with one of the salespeople.
Well, I could, if that were only true. No, she lets me sleep with her every once in a while. mostly on the couch. But no, but we met at a radio station, so it's not like this has never happened before. We've worked together a couple times. It's been fine. I think there's, in my role, there's a little bit of an appearance of impropriety. I can affect her revenue a little bit because promotions or, client perks or things that I can do for an AE, but I don't like to do extra stuff for her.
Right.
I'm actually harder on her in the sense that if she comes in and says, oh, I have this idea for this client, it's this great promotion and we need you to do this, I more often than not, I'm going to look at that and go, you know better than this, go fix it and come back when it's right. Yeah. Where if it's another AE, I probably sit down and work it through and help them a little bit more. I'm probably harder on her in that sense.
When I first met you, I got to be honest, when I learned that you were also into investment properties and things of that nature, it was so foreign to me. I was like, what does that mean? It's a great thing. That's amazing. But how do you even begin? You know what I mean?
You just dive in.
I guess. But was that something who taught you about it and how'd you get into it? And how many do you have now? Back then you were one or two? Or?
Yeah. And I still have a few and land, oil investments and things like that. Which are great. My home, my investments, the decisions that I've made financially do make my life a little easier. That's where you get to I get to do this instead of I have to do this. And I've been very fortunate. I've made some mistakes,
of course,
but it's all been pretty much self-taught. Yeah. It was one of those things where I saw other people doing it. I saw people making a fairly substantial amount of money from doing it. I knew there was some risk, and especially early on, I did some things really wrong. But even those turned out okay. You write them off, you do whatever, and you live and you move on. It's been very successful for me.
How old were you when you started?
Oh, I was later. I was probably 40.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it was only 10 or 15 years. Maybe 35. So it's probably 15 years before I moved to Nashville. So, it's one of those things where I just started doing it, started liking it, and then went, wow, you can make money doing this?
Dude, I'm afraid. How old are you?
You don't even take a guess.
15 years? You were 50 when you moved here?
Almost.
Really?
I was 47, 48. I'm 61.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I wouldn't peg you there. I figure probably,
You're like the third person this week that's told me that. So I'm going to go good with that, right?
That's because of those damn get-to years. You're not stressing as much as the rest of us.
I don't know. I'm working pretty hard right now. So I don't know. And, that's weird because I think that the business kind of ebbs and flows for me. There are times where I get super, super busy and I'm just like, do I really want to keep doing this for as long as I've been doing it? And then there are times where it's just easy and I'm coasting and I'm like, I could do this forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can have rhythms.
Yeah. And right now with Pickle Jar launching, with y'all doing as well as it is, with Jack being very interactive, I'm busy, I'm just busy. But again, I like that. I can't complain. I do. I shouldn't complain. I can still complain.
It's for what we do, man. It's like I still do like certain little voiceovers that are just I don't want to say nuisances, but they're like not exactly the sexiest things.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, other people look at me doing this and think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. And if you can supplement that by taking some chances and making some investments and having some rental income or royalty income or just a little nest egg back in the back.
Dude, the last 9 years of my life has been one big risk. Just learning and like doing all the things, but at a later stage of life. Because I felt like I was getting
great.
Yeah. You got it. It's,
you do. Yeah.
I always had a side hustle in radio and I always knew I should have taken it more seriously and I just never did for some reason. Probably because I got distracted. But it was one of those things that in 2016, I swore to never be held to somebody else's standard in terms of how much I can make or when I could take time off. It was like, I'm over this, or if I show up one day and I'm out of a job, which happened in that span of time twice. Yeah. So I don't know if you know this. I went and worked for Price's coming out of radio. I was supposed to go into the car business, but Bobby Price came in and hired me. I kind of
remember all that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And, gave me everything I wanted in terms of salary. I should have shot higher, but whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm making a ton of money. And the first week I was there, he must have fired like 6 or 7 people. And I was
welcome back to radio.
Yeah. But it was like, I said, my wife's like, well, we can do this and everything. I said, no. Sock it all away. Yeah. I have no idea how long this is going to last. And it was 2.5 months.
Yeah.
He's like, it's just not moving the needle.
Wow.
Dude. Wow. 2.5 months.
2.5 months. Yeah. Well, I think that investment advice that I would give anybody that's younger, I'm giving it to my kids, is work for yourself, create your own business, invest in yourself, invest in what you believe in, invest in what you want to see yourself grow and be successful in. If I was 10 years younger, I'd be buying even radio stations today.
Really?
And I would still make money.
Yeah.
There were some properties came up recently over the last few years that I didn't take a run at. And now I'm kind of mad that I didn't. And I 100% talked myself out of it because of my age.
Yeah.
And that's a bad call. I should have went ahead and just done it.
Well, I mean, kudos to you. I had no idea that you were in your 60s.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's great. I didn't pick up on that.
Wow.
Are you anything with crypto? You get into that at all?
I have not. It's so funny because a couple of my kids have, and I encourage them to, try new things and to look at investment opportunities. So it's interesting that they're probably ahead of me when it comes to crypto.
I got into it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Ripple was the first one I bought back in 2018. It was, figuring out how to buy it.
Right.
And then it's like you had to jump through all these hoops and move things. I was like, my gosh, nobody's going to do this. Right. This is very early.
And it's harder to take it out than it is to put it in.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot easier now.
It is now.
But I mean, and it's like crypto right now is like, I've been saying it's the internet circa 1996. I just read a blog or an article maybe about 3 months ago. Somebody said, no, it's still 1991. I'm going, what? Yeah. We're that early? Because I'm like, I don't know. I mean, everybody's kind of aware of crypto right now, like they were in 95, 96 about the internet. I know of the internet. I just don't know how it applies to my life. How am I going to use this thing? Right. That's where we are with crypto.
It's funny because I think of all the apps and everything, and it took us as a society how long to be able to go, okay, I can pay through the app.
Yeah.
I mean, it took forever for us to feel safe doing it. Not me, but as a society, I still know people that won't do anything, transactions through an app. Right. And I'm like, really? This is 2025.
But even the advent of apps, do you remember when that came around? It was like probably 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Because you did everything on the browser.
Yeah.
You just went to the website, right?
Yeah.
Facebook was the website. It wasn't an app.
Right.
And there was a little bit of hesitancy to start adopting the technology of apps. I think it was a quicker adoption. Mm-hmm. But I remember I don't want an app.
Yeah.
And not like 2 weeks later, okay, I've succumbed.
People are creatures of habit. I mean, there are still people whipping out the checkbook at Walmart.
Oh my gosh.
Or people that won't tap because they don't think, they need something more tangible. They have to put it in the little slot to make sure it's working. Or, we're slow adapters.
We are. But I think the minute you're able to pay with Bitcoin on Amazon.
Yeah. That's a whole new world. If that happens.
I've been telling the guys at the Dream Motor Group, I said, guys, start taking Bitcoin for cars, man.
Yeah.
Start selling Mercedes and Ferraris taking Bitcoin. I mean, if it's the next big thing, man, it's only going to go up. No one ever thought it would be where it is now.
Yeah. I know guys have made serious money already.
Yeah.
I got in by accident, but not a lot. Most everybody I know has made money.
I literally got in by accident.
Yeah.
I had an extra, nest egg, and one Saturday morning I was just kind of like, maybe should I? And, I think it was through one of the apps that I was on. I literally my knuckles swiped across. Purchase made. I'm like,
uh-oh.
I swear to you, that's how it happened.
Wow.
And it was a large sum of money. You're like, holy crap.
Oh no, I just did this.
No, something's telling me to hold on to this. But crap, now I got to tell my wife about it.
That's the hard part right there, right?
Chuck came down. Hey, she came down for breakfast. I'm like, guess what? We're into Bitcoin. And she's like, really? Yeah. It's totally by accident. I swear.
Oh, wow. It's the life we lead, right?
It is.
But if it turns out perfectly, then it was fate, right?
Well, I mean, since then, it's been very good.
Okay.
It was probably 22. So, I mean, if you do the math.
Yeah.
So moving on, how do people find and follow you and all that fun stuff?
I don't even know if they want to find or follow me. Obviously the brands, they can go to 963jackfm.com or y'all1067.com. That's the easiest way, because then you can find all the social media platforms there. Me personally, I'm just Ron Allen on Facebook. It's pretty easy to find me, or, I'm on Instagram and TikTok and
all the things.
Everybody's on all the things, right?
Brother.
You have to be on the things.
Well, thank you for your willingness to come on out here and have a chat.
Oh, no, anytime. This has actually been really fun just to kind of catch up and talk a little.
Tremendous amount of weight I take from that, because you're a radio guy, Well, hopefully I'm doing a good job.
No, this is awesome. This has been a lot of fun.
Right on, brother. Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. mmtbp.com is the website to go to for all things sharing, social media. If you want to be on the show, there's a link there that you can click to apply to be on the show. Go ahead and do that. All things are right there. mmtbp.com for the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast. Ron Allen, thanks again, pal.
Oh, it's been awesome.